ese cuerpo a cuerpo, lista para revolear. Ay, ¿qué será? Y ahí está, pidiendo calor, mojada en sudor. Y no demora, se está acercando la hora, va a empezar la presión. Y ahí está, en alta tensión, cuerpo a cuerpo en tracción. Eso no es decora, simplemente es la cuota, sigue la seducción. No hace falta que modeles.
Hello replayers, this is MisterUltimate and welcome to my latest video log. Just wanted to touch base on something we talked about last week before I get into the topic that obviously I'm going to talk about because everyone is talking about it. First, I want to talk about the forum. We found a new solution for it, guys. We have a forum that is up and it's functional, it's running. We're going to tweak it on the visual side as things go on because nothing's ever really done as far as I'm concerned. It can always be improved upon. And honestly, that gets into what the forum's for. It's for you guys to touch base with us and to share what you like about the site, what you don't like about the site, what you'd like to see improved, what you would like to see more of, things like that. And it's also a place to bring people together, for gamers to meet gamers, to share their passion for gaming, a place to have fun. But what we really hope the most active forum is the forum where people can make suggestions to us. We want to get your feedback. We want to hear your constructive criticisms. Now, we're not immune to criticism. Really, honestly, we do want your feedback. We do want your constructive criticisms. We want to know how we can be better for you guys. Moving on. YouTube debacle. Gotta say, we are one of the lucky channels. We only have one content ID match. It's on Devious Devil's Assassin's Creed Black Flag video. The interesting thing is that it doesn't come from Ubisoft, and that's the problem. It comes from a scam account called Brothers and Sons, who are just basically utilizing content ID as it is. They're not hacking, they're not doing anything. They're just using content ID without any kind of modification or any type of plan. It's just they're using what YouTube put out. And that's the problem, guys. The problem is that despite YouTube's claims that they verify that entities using content ID actually own the content in question, it's become pretty obvious over the last week that that's not the case, because you have all of these pretty much fictitious companies coming out of the woodworks and claiming content they don't own, using content ID to commit copyright fraud. And unfortunately, pardon my French, YouTube has not put enough ass on the situation. They gotta put asses in seats, faces in front of monitors, scrutinizing all of this stuff. I mean, they should have done it from the beginning. Now it's going to be a monumental task because they were just lazy about it and they thought the technology they invented was going to be sufficient. Much like the NSA debacle, their technology is insufficient. They're not as technologically savvy as we all hoped they were. You know, because we knew that they were collecting this enormous amount of data on us. And we knew that it was for the purposes of generating targeted advertising and things. But we really hoped it would be safe. Most people said it wasn't going to be safe. All the cynics said it wasn't going to be safe. And you know what? Those cynics were right. They were very smart. They didn't waste time being optimistic about something that you really didn't need to be optimistic about, because it should have been obvious to all of us. They weren't really up to the task, because no human being is probably ever going to be up to that task. Here's the thing, guys. No matter how smart you are, somebody's going to be smarter. If you want to be smarter than everybody else, you got to be smarter about everything. I'm sure there's something that Google is smarter about than anyone else in the world about, but they're not smarter than anyone else in the world about everything. And that's the problem. And the people scamming off of content ID, guys, they're not that smart. This is a very dumb, rudimentary scam. It's basically sign up, list content that you don't own, wait for the money to roll in. And that's what's happening. Because they know YouTube is not putting out the manpower, they're not putting the asses in the seats, they're not putting the faces in the monitors to check this stuff out. They know that most of their claims generated by Content ID are going to be upheld. So what you have is a situation where the partners who really do the work and generate the money for YouTube, because if YouTube does everything that they're supposed to do right, they still haven't generated a penny, because the money doesn't start rolling in until content gets produced. Even when it comes to advertisers, if there's no video to run an ad in front of, then they still haven't made any money. It's the partners that are doing all the work. Without the partners, there is no YouTube. They are the most important people in YouTube. And all these partners are feeling so slighted because it seems like YouTube forgot how much they owe them. And they do owe them. They owe them everything. It's all the partners. All the people that upload are the ones that generate the money for them. And they're not taking care of them. So their hard work is being co-opted by fraudulent accounts. And then, worse yet, Content ID is supposed to protect content owners. And instead, they are allowing someone to steal the intellectual property of the content owners that they're supposed to be protecting. And the fact that they came out and defended the system was stupid. I've been trying to think of a word that sounded classier than stupid. But the only thing I could come up besides stupid to say was to say stupid. Just stupid. I can't even pronounce it correctly. It boggles the mind. It makes me dumber just because it happened. I'm dumber. My brain cells started dying the minute I read the official statement from YouTube. I literally got dumber. I'm not as smart as I was at the beginning of this week, guys. And I can't take much more of this. I haven't been able to tie my shoes in a week, guys. I'm trying. I can't get it. It's just, ever since I read that statement, the loops, they just confuse me. I don't know what to do about it. But getting back to the topic at hand, YouTube is still making their money. They're still taking the money from the revenue generated from these videos. It's just that they're not giving the partner their cut. They're giving the scam account their cut. That's why a lot of people are mad. Don't get me wrong, guys. There are legitimate claims generated by Content ID. There are illegitimate but honest mistake claims generated by Content ID as well, where they are generating it on behalf of the proper owner. It's just that the proper owner doesn't want the claim created because they're fine with what's being done with their property. Yet another reason Content ID doesn't work. It can't think. They took the part that thinks, the human equation, out. And that's why Content ID is not working. Because Content ID is just not smart enough. And it's not going to get smart enough. Because the people behind it just aren't smart enough to make it that way. That's not an insult. You go make a system that can think and reason about copyright law and then say that they're stupid for not being able to make a system good enough. No, they just reached a little too far. I'm not blaming YouTube for the fact that Content ID doesn't make reasonable, sound judgments on copyright law by itself. I'm blaming them for the fact that they thought it would. That's where I think they messed up, guys. They thought that it would do this, when obviously it's not going to. So, back to our situation, guys. We fully expect that the claim is going to be removed because Ubisoft Entertainment is very clear that they own the visual elements of Assassin's Creed Black Flag, and they have a very clear video policy which we follow to the letter, and they're the ones who get to decide ultimately. It would be very shocking if YouTube didn't remove the claim, because if they don't, then they're willfully aiding brothers and sons in stealing revenue using Ubisoft's intellectual property. Theoretically, because we have not yet obtained written permission from Ubisoft to monetize the video in question, we haven't, and we're not going to unless they give us permission. And we're fine with that, guys. It's not always about the money. Yes, we do hope that this eventually becomes something that we can support our families on, so we can keep doing something we love and are passionate about. Of course, we still got to pay the bills at the end of the day, but the love and the passion is really central to what we're doing. And let me just put it this way. It's a really cool game. And it's really fun to make videos for. That's the long and the short of that one. So, the more important concern is whether or not YouTube will A, follow their own policy and ban Brothers and Sons account for knowingly make a fraudulent claim, because they can't be dumb enough to actually think they own the Assassin's Creed. They obviously know they don't. They obviously willfully set up criteria that would allow them to commit copyright fraud, so they need to be banned. And then, farther reaching than just our minor one claim problem is the overreaching problem of what it's doing to the partners that are really supporting YouTube. All of these managed and quote-unquote affiliate partners whose livelihood has really been disrupted, and their ability to support themselves and their family has really been disrupted. It's more important that YouTube actually put the asses in the seats, audit every single Content ID user, not take a single thing for granted. They actually have to investigate every single one and make sure that there isn't a single thing in their criteria that they don't own. If they don't actually own it, just remove it. Now, if you get an entire account where it's like, you don't own any of this stuff, banhammer, 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 banhammer. Just straight out. But there are legitimate content owners who are using Content ID, and they would like to see it used correctly, and they would like to see it used in a way that corresponds with their own management of their property. That if they allow someone to make a video, YouTube is not making decisions on their behalf that they don't want made. Again, that's the problem. The content owners aren't generating these claims, guys. It's Content ID. The system is generating the claims, and it shouldn't be. So, those two things, the banning of these fraudulent accounts and the audit of every Content ID user, needs to happen. Because if it doesn't happen, I could see content owners just drowning YouTube and its parent company, Google, in lawsuits for being a party to copyright fraud, which is why Content ID was made. It was made as a solution to the fact that that was already kind of happening. They were making a profit off of pirated material unintentionally. They weren't trying to do it, it just happened. And so they needed to be a little bit more proactive and actually look at what was being uploaded. Well, they're still not looking at it, guys. Again, the human equation, it's irreplaceable. You're never going to be able to replace people with machines, because the machines are only going to be as smart as the people who built them, and collectively, we're pretty dumb guys. We do dumb things all the time. And the dumbest person is someone who thinks they're smart. Smart people don't really focus on what they know. They focus on what they don't know because they want to learn. When you get someone have a little bit of hubris, think they got all the answers, think they can actually replace the human equation, bad things happen. Content ID happens. So hopefully they've learned from it. They learned from Content ID. They've learned from the NSA. They've learned from everything, and they're going to stop trusting their technology. They're going to stop trusting their ability to take people out of the process and replace consciousness, replace reason, replace common sense. We hope that happens because we like YouTube, obviously. We're on it. We believe in it. So, hopefully, it will be everything that it can be. Otherwise, well, I don't know. See you on Twitch, maybe? Who knows, guys? Again, I'm just a guy on YouTube. I don't have all the answers. I'll be just as interested to see how this all turns out as you guys. So, thank you so much for joining me, guys. Hope you enjoyed it, and hope you'll come around for the next one. If you'd like to hear more from the XRP crew, be sure to go on over to the extendedreplay.com channel, hit the subscribe button so you can keep up to date with everything we're doing, and you can also like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, and visit us at the main site, extended-replay.com. Hope to see you there soon, guys, and until next time, I remain Mr. Ultimate.
Come on, baby, give me sex. Quita la ropa mala que usa más breve. Si tú eres caperucita, soy el lobo que te agrede. Mami, acéptalo. Para ti la noche es larga. Encontraste a quien buscabas, aquí está Robert Galarga.